Good morning. Thank you for letting us come here today and talk about the Bird Festival. I want to thank my wife, who is Robbie, who's the community outreach person who set this up. And when she set it up, somehow I got volunteered to be up here and she didn't do it. So also interesting to follow Chief Scott. I'm glad I moved my car out of that loading zone out front. Okay. The Bird Festival. The Morro Bay Bird Festival is an annual event, and it's the largest ecotourism event on the Central Coast, and it's probably one of the top 5 birding festivals in the United States. This year's festival was our 25th anniversary, and it took place over Martin Luther King weekend, January 13th to 16th. Does everybody remember what happened 2 weeks ago? I sure do. That weekend's rain, wind, flooding, road closures, and emergency alerts could not deter over 700 birders from coming here and looking at birds. So if you were driving around that weekend and dodging barriers and pylons in the street and all this stuff, and you saw people standing there looking up in the trees, pointing, that was us. Okay. We had attendees come as far away as Brazil to brave the conditions, to attend seminars and special events, to celebrate the vast diversity of birds that winter along our coastline here. Our outdoor events, which we call field trips, ranged as far north as the Elephant Seal Rookery up north of San Simeon. We went also down south to Oso Flaco Lake and east out to the Carrizo Plains. We had scheduled a number of ocean-going trips. We call them pelagic trips, to look at birds that fly out over the ocean. And those were, I was going to say unfortunately, but fortunately canceled by the Coast Guard because there were like 16-foot ocean swells out there. So we stuck to cruises in the bay where our attendees could see the birds that sit on the water. Attendees bicycled, kayaked, hiked, and in the rain and wind, and they took photography classes, attended seminars, and other programs that were offered by experts in their field. We had attendees come from over 25 of the U.S. states. We had attendees from British Columbia, and I've already mentioned a really nice couple that came from Brazil. I wanted to mention the gentleman who came from Brazil. Sometimes people come here wanting to see a particular kind of bird. This particular guy was looking for a roadrunner. And I'm not talking about the cartoon. He really wanted to see a roadrunner, which is a unique bird that we have here in the West. We were also fortunate in that we had a number of restaurants and businesses in Morro Bay offer discounts that weekend. So anyone wearing a badge went into a restaurant or a shop and they were able to get a discount. That also included a tattoo parlor. Thanks for setting that up. We had bird tattoos, I guess. We had 3 VIP guests that weekend. The most prominent one is a gentleman named David Allen Sibley. He is he's the rock star of the birding world. It would be like having Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones at the Siren in Morro Bay. David has written numerous bird books and with illustrations. We also had 2 other gentlemen, John Dunn and Richard Crosley, come. They've also authored books. So we had like a trifecta of really birding experts attend our festival. We had a keynote speech on Saturday night at Cuesta College, and then on Sunday night we had a dinner at Madonna Inn where we honored 8 of our field people who had been associated with the festival for the last 25 years. The reason we hold the festival in January is because that's when the majority of the wintering birds are in the area. And as was mentioned, we have over 200 species that choose to stay in Morro Bay over the winter and feed and rest prior to their migration back up to Canada and the Arctic area. So these birds fly a long way to come down to Morro Bay and spend time here. And we had a lot of programs that highlighted the ecological importance of our area, which Morro Bay and the whole slow area, to the health and well-being of the hundreds of birds that either live here or come here and spend time during our winter time. The Morro Bay Bird Festival is also important to the economy of the area. The weekend before the festival, we had 900 people registered to come. And when all the storms hit and people started reading about emergency, that the Morro Bay Community Center was going to be an evacuation center, some people wanted to cancel. So we lost about 200 people, but we ended up with around 700 people who came to the festival. And over 65% of those people were from outside the 934 zip code. So that means that when they came here, they needed a place to stay, they needed places to eat, they needed transportation, and they needed shops to go to buy souvenirs to take back home. So it was a pretty good bump to the area for financially. I also wanted to point out that our bird festival is also a county-wide event. I mentioned earlier, that our trips range all around. We also use services like our transportation came from a company here in San Luis Obispo. So I think in conclusion, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to give you this overview. And we have our first board meeting for the planning for next year will take place next month. And at that meeting, we're going to be talking about possibly moving our festival off of the Martin Luther King weekend, so that would benefit the area better, because that is a 3-day weekend. And if you have any spare time on your hands and you want to learn more about our bird festival, you're welcome to come to the meeting and we'll put you to work. Thank you.